Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's dive straight into today's first story. Now today's first story comes from Wedding Invite 69, who asks, am I the arsehole for telling people that I wasn't invited to a wedding? I've been working for my company for 7 years now, 5 of which has been spent on my current team. There are 15 people on it, and I'd say we're all pretty close, relatively speaking. I have a co-worker named Bob, 33 male, who joined the team when I did. During the pandemic, he announced to everyone on a Zoom meeting that he was now engaged. Fast forward to this January, and Bob says that his wedding would be held in September of this year at a really beautiful winery. About 5 months ago, the invites started coming in for everyone on the team, but mine didn't. I waited a few weeks but nothing came, so I went to Bob and asked if my invite got sent out. He gave me a solemn look and then told me that I wasn't invited because of a spacing issue. He said he tried to make it work but just couldn't, and hoped I didn't take it personally. He also said I'd be sure to get wedding favors and a piece of cake. He also asked me to keep it to myself and please not make a big deal out of it. I honestly didn't know what to say, so I guess I just said okay and walked away. I won't lie, I was upset. I hate feeling excluded, and it was doubly worse because everyone else on the team was going except for me. And honestly, I really like weddings, they're usually very fun. I kept it to myself, but I wasn't happy. The day of the wedding came 3 weeks ago, and it went by without a hitch. Everyone on my team had a grand time and said it was beautiful. The food and party was great as well, and apparently everyone got a dozen fresh apple cider donuts to take home. I never did get that cake or wedding favors, by the way. At work the following Monday, my team member Sherry told me that everyone was confused as to where I was. Apparently Bob said I was sick and couldn't make it. I was confused and then pissed. I straight up told her I wasn't invited and left it at that. She looked shocked and asked me to confirm, and I said yes, I wasn't invited. Well, Sherry told someone because about 5 people asked me if I wasn't invited and I said it was true. Today was Bob's first day back from his honeymoon, and it must have gotten back to him that I spilled the beans. He approached me in the break room and he was upset that I told Sherry and that it wasn't a big deal I missed the wedding. I said, how would you like to be excluded from something everyone else is going to? We went back and forth for a bit before Bob walked away. I was pretty upset, so upset that my project manager came to ask me if I was okay because she heard about me not being invited. I didn't want this to go this far, so I said yes, but other team members came up to me and said that Bob should have invited me, and it was wrong, he didn't. Look, I realized that it was his wedding day and he's allowed to invite who he wants, but I'm allowed to be upset that I wasn't invited, right? So Reddit, am I the arsehole for telling people I wasn't invited to the wedding and being upset about it? Edit, sorry, I forgot to put in the original post that I'm a 30 male. Edit 2, and wow guys, thank you for your support. My inbox is begging for mercy. And to me it's an absolute not the arsehole. Like you said, he's allowed to invite who he wanted, but he was lying to his co-workers about why you weren't invited, saying that you was sick when you clearly wasn't, so he knew it would reflect badly on him if he didn't lie about it. And you're allowed to tell the truth. It's as simple as that. He's expecting you to lie as well for his benefit. Absolutely not the arsehole. But Crom says, not the arsehole, you didn't ruin his wedding day, and you didn't say anything prior to the wedding, nor make a big deal of it. Bob straight up lied to your colleagues about why you couldn't attend, which is incredibly bizarre and a major arsehole move. You just corrected his mistake. News says, not the arsehole, if he was worried about what people would think if he didn't invite you, he should have invited you. It's his wedding and he can do whatever he wants, but obviously people are going to find out and he can't expect you to lie on his behalf. Ukabi says, not the arsehole, it's Bob's right to invite whoever he wishes or not to invite them, but that's where it ends. He doesn't get to ask you to lie to make him look better. If he wants to exclude one team member out of 15, then he can deal with the fallout from it. If he doesn't want to handle fallout, then he can invite you, but he doesn't get to not invite you and then act like the reason you didn't come is because you didn't want to go. World's Greatest Frog says, someone said no one's an arsehole here, but Bob is an arsehole because he lied about not inviting OP. Bob said OP was sick. Also, don't believe it was just a spacing issue. I think there was an issue and Bob is not being forthcoming. Not the arsehole, but Bob is. And one more from D Gently who says not the arsehole. So much of what we learned in preschool is really true. One of them is you get to invite your 3 best class friends to your party. You maybe even get to invite half the class to the party. You do not get to invite 29 out of 30 kids to the party. Bob was just incredibly rude here. Worse, in my honest opinion, was his asking you to keep quiet about it. When Sherry came over to talk to you, what were you supposed to do? Lie about it? You didn't say, wow, that huge arsehole Bob and his bee of a wife invited everyone but me. You just said you weren't invited. None of this is your fault. Let him deal with the fallout. So then OP updated the post which says, I want to thank you all for the responses, especially for the wedding invites. Well, I have an update to this story and it took an interesting turn. Bob and I were in the office today. He came to me and asked if we could talk. He asked if we could clear the air over some beers with his wife after work and I said okay. After work I met Bob and his wife Pam in a bar. They both apologized for not inviting me and making me feel excluded. Bob apologized for lying and getting mad about it. The reason they didn't invite me is because they didn't want single guys at the wedding. They went to a big wedding in 2019 that was ruined when a bunch of drunk single guys started hitting on the women there. A few of the boyfriends and husbands got pissed and it turned into a big fight. People were arrested and it completely ruined the wedding. I found it hard to believe, but they showed me a couple of Facebook videos of them at the wedding and it looked like the damn Royal Rumble was going on. I was even shown a few Facebook statuses confirming their story. Pam said she was sort of traumatized by this and swore they'd have no single guys at their wedding. Well, the wedding came and Pam stuck to her guns. Only families, couples, single women, or trusted single men were to be invited. Pam said that there were only about 10 single guys there, and they were all family members or groomsmen. She said the party turned out amazing this way since women didn't have to worry about being hit on. Pam said it truly wasn't personal and that she's so sorry for not inviting me, but would do it again. I asked if she and Bob didn't trust me enough to control myself. She said that Bob vouched hard for me, but she was sticking to her guns. The compromise was that she'd have to explain if anyone asked, and that Bob got to choose the honeymoon destination. Curiously, she said that she had a sister around my age and I was just her type and she wanted to keep her away from me. I was a little offended at that, but she says that it's for my own good. Her sister is a little bit of a, her words not mine, and she didn't want her to get her hooks in me. Again, her words. Bob said he should have handled it better, and he wanted to be honest, but it wouldn't have made much of a difference, so he hoped I wouldn't mind as much. Plus, he figured I wouldn't want to go to a wedding as a single guy anyway. I told them I was kinda hurt. They thought I would act like a creeper at their wedding. Pam assured me that she thought I was nice, smart, funny guy, but she just wanted to make sure their wedding went off without a hitch. They promised to make it up to me, but I told them it wasn't necessary. Pam insisted on it and said I had to know how sorry she was. So we made plans to have dinner at their expense at a very nice restaurant in the city this weekend. So in the end, I guess it wasn't anything I did, but I still feel kind of insulted. But I guess I get a free dinner out of it. Edit. There are a lot of comments here suggesting that I'm being naive, a doormat, and letting them off easy for basically calling me a creep. I won't lie, I think you all might be right. I do believe in taking the high road on most occasions, but I don't think this should be one of those times. As a side note, I don't believe that wanting to see the best in people or taking them at their word makes you naive. I had a call an hour ago with my project manager and explained the entire situation. She advised me to go to HR and make a complaint since it could lead to a hostile work environment. I have a meeting with them Monday. I don't really want to make a formal complaint, just have it on file in case anything happens. To be honest, I don't think it will. Bob doesn't seem like that kind of person, but I've been wrong plenty of times before. So as per the advice here, I won't be going to dinner with Bob and Pam. I will, however, insist on a public apology that doesn't imply that I am a creep. I'm insisting on some fresh apple cider donuts, not store-bought but fresh. Thank you for making me see the truth, Reddit. Although I'm disappointed, I'm turning down some Wagyu steak, so you all owe me one. Lol. Final update, I can't post any further updates on this sub, so I'll post updates on my profile. To which OP goes on to say, update and more context. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. I'm only allowed one update on Am I the Arsehole and can provide more detail with a self-post. Unfortunately, there's an update to this story. Honestly, this whole thing is stupid as hell and I really want to move on and forget this whole thing happened, but reality is often disappointing. But first, to clarify a few things. 1. I had to omit a lot of information because of character count in Am I the Arsehole. 2. I got a few posts and DMs asking why I felt entitled to be invited. I want to make it clear, I don't feel entitled to anything. Yes, I want to be invited, but as I said, if they had been honest with me from the beginning, I wouldn't have minded as much. They were allowed to do what they wanted on their wedding day. The problem was the subterfuge used to make their choice. 3. I'm usually not this indecisive, but this is a weird situation and I don't exactly know how to handle it. 4. I have never talked to Bob about women ever. We didn't have that kind of relationship. None of the men on the team do. I think the women do it amongst themselves, but I can't be sure about it. 5. I'm choosing to believe Pam about her experience dealing with men. If recent years have shown us anything, is that we need to believe women when they say they've been harassed or assaulted. 6. The trusted men were made up of family members and groomsmen who were explicitly told not to flirt with the women. Pam had to turn away some of her single guy friends and Bob had a shit ton of guy friends who wanted to go but were turned away. 7. Bob and Pam's after party was going for a club vibe. Pam and some of her friends had a very bad experiences being hit on at clubs and Pam wanted to ensure their safety. She got the idea to exclude guys from going to women-only clubs. According to her, the vibe was so much better when women could get drunk and shake their asses and not be taken harassed by thirsty guys. The women at the wedding appreciated the lack of guys on the dance floor, but some complained about the lack of guys at the wedding. 8. The wedding Royal Rumble happened at the wedding of one of her closest friends. Her friend and her husband were devastated their wedding was ruined. It was so bad that they committed to having a 5-year vow renewal. Also, they were stuck with a large cleanup bill from the venue for damages. 9. As for me, it was 70-30 on me being invited. It came down to that Pam didn't know me at all, outside of a superb Super Mario Maker level design. Bob really fought hard for me, but Pam was too unsure, and then she remembered her sister. 10. According to Pam, although she loves her sister to death, her sister is a huge and goes from guy to guy with the change of the wind. Apparently I'm dangerously her type and she would have been all over me. I asked what was wrong with that, and she said her sister doesn't deserve a sweet guy like me, and she didn't want her to get her hooks in me. This sealed my fate. 11. Bob said it would look horrible if I wasn't invited. That's when she came up with a compromise of taking the heat for it. He was just hoping that I wouldn't mind not going. 12. Maybe I'm naive, but I'm choosing to believe Bob about feeling horrible about not inviting me. He seemed really broken up about it. Either he's a damn good actor or he's telling the truth. 13. He acknowledged the way that he handled it was terrible. According to him, there was no way of doing this that wasn't awkward. As for why he lied, apparently he panicked and couldn't think of anything better. Him getting mad at me for not going along with it wasn't necessarily about me, but being mad at Pam for putting him in the situation. 14. He promised to make a full apology in front of the team when we're all together in the office again in a few weeks. 15. Pam did say she felt terrible about me and the other guys she had to exclude, but she would do it again to ensure the safety of the women around her. 16. She was extremely insistent on making it up to me. She said that we should be friends going forward and offered a nice home-cooked meal to me, followed by some wine and a round of Mario Kart. I turned that down. That's when the expensive restaurant solution was offered. 17. I accepted because it seemed like a fair compromise at the time. They didn't even have to really apologize for it, but they were offering me dinner, so I took it. In hindsight, I shouldn't have, but at that point I just wanted to get out of there and go home. Now for the update. After reading the comments calling me a doormat, I decided not to accept their dinner offer. I called Bob on his work phone to explain my change of heart. He was disappointed but understood my reasoning. I parroted some of the talking points and he said he understood. He wouldn't make a big deal out of it and we could just move on. I thanked him for being cool about it and he hung up. I thought that would be the end of it, but not 5 minutes later Bob called me back. I groan and pick up. Surprisingly, it was Pam on the other side. She didn't come at me hostile, but she did sound upset. She wanted to know why I didn't want to come anymore. I explained what I told Bob about how they basically insisted I was a creep. I told her I didn't want to invalidate her experiences, but I didn't have to accept being told I'm a potential sexual predator. She said that she didn't mean it like that and that she thinks I'm a good person but couldn't risk it for her wedding. She was practically begging me to meet her in person to clear the air further. She kept on saying that we could be best of friends if I'd give her a chance to explain better. I said no thanks and that I had to go, but I'm sorry that she went through what she went through. I ended the call by saying, by the way, I didn't even get those donuts. And then I hung up. It's been quiet since then, but Bob is back in the office on Monday. I fear Pam might do something drastic. I hope this thing is over, but I fear it might not be. In any case, I'll update if anything happens. And whilst that's the end of the post so far, I don't think it's going to be the end of this story from what we're hearing about Pam currently. But what do you guys make of this situation? How would you handle it if you was OP? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Girl With No Hope, who says, am I the arsehole for telling my sister to find a babysitter instead of dumping her kids with me? Honestly, I can't believe the whole situation came down to me having to make this post, but it did. My oldest sister, 41 female, and I, 23 female, have been somewhat estranged for several years. It began when I was 18. Shortly after I received my autism diagnosis. The diagnosis caused a noticeable shift in the way she treated me. I went from being the sister with a few quirks to the difficult one who had no hope of a decent future if she didn't have someone to baby her. She also feels that I am not trustworthy after a couple of incidents regarding my mental health shortly after high school. Since I started dating a friend, who I will call O, 6 months ago, my sister has gone off the rails. From what my family has said, my sister has a problem with O's religion. O, 24 male, is Muslim, but is pretty lax about it. I find this odd because one of our aunts was married to a Muslim who was willing to be my godfather when I was born. The problem my sister has with my relationship with O has escalated dramatically. I've noticed that each time O and I plan a date, my sister needs a babysitter. I find this odd as their youngest son is 6 months old and still dependent on my sister. The other 2 children, 7 female and 5 male, are at the age where they need supervision. But I trust my niece to watch her brother if arrangements can't be made. Yet my sister insists that I take care of her children, despite the fact she could have our mother or aunts watch them. I finally put my foot down and told her that if she expected me to babysit, she must give me prior notice. I also told her she would have to pay me $20 for the entire night. This proposal sounded reasonable, and my mother agreed because she felt boundaries had to be set. My sister was pissed about the suggestion and attempted to pull the relative obligation card. The stunt my sister decided to pull last week was the last straw. O and I were supposed to go out to dinner at a restaurant we had a reservation for 6 weeks in advance. I was getting dressed when my sister showed up an hour and a half before O was supposed to pick me up to drop off her kids. To say I was pissed is an understatement. My sister knew the restaurant had a long reservation list but didn't seem to care. Our mother was already out with friends, so nobody else was at home to watch the kids. Instead of cancelling my plans, I told my sister she had to find someone else to babysit or stay home with her children. My sister was livid, calling me horrible names and accusing me of caring more about my boyfriend than my family. I slammed the door in my sister's face, telling her I wouldn't deal with her until she acted like an adult. I also reminded her about the previous rules I had set about babysitting her kids. My mum and other sister are on my side in this situation. However, the rest of my family thought I was immature and that I should be grateful to spend time with my niece and nephews. I don't see what they see, but I could be wrong. And Penguin Squeak says, not the arsehole, if the rest of the family are upset by you sticking to your previous agreement regarding watching your sister's children, by all means, they may volunteer to watch your sister's children with no notice. It's only a problem because you were inconvenienced, not them, which is hypocrisy. Crafty and Kind says, oh man, your sister is being a huge arsehole and has lost her free babysitter privileges forever if you're comfortable enforcing that boundary. One thing I wasn't sure about though, it's not actually relevant to your situation. Are you implying that a 7-year-old is capable of looking after a 5-year-old? Because that's definitely not safe. Edit to add, not the arsehole. And let's have one more comment from 3Dogs2022 who says, not the arsehole for this situation at all. It's clear though that you shouldn't be babysitting children in general. A 6-month-old is fine having a babysitter whether or not it is dependent on its mother. On no planet, for no reason, is it safe for a 7-year-old to babysit a 5-year-old. The fact that you don't understand this says you aren't a suitable caregiver. Maybe I need to revise this to everyone sucks here. And now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the story. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today